Okay, we are on. I want to welcome you here today to the Seattle Queer Film Festival. We're in our 25th year and we're really, really excited. So that's amazing. My name is Kathleen Mullen and I am the Interim Executive Director of $3 Bill Cinema and Festival Director of the Seattle Queer Film Festival. And we're just really thrilled to have this amazing group of people here today. So thank you so much for being here. And I want to hand it over to Anastacia-Renee, but I first want to introduce her. So Anastacia-Renee is a writer, educator, interdisciplinary artist, TEDx speaker, and podcaster. She is a 2020 ARC Fellow for Culture and Jack Straw Curator. Renee is the recipient of the James W. Ray Distinguished Artist Award for Washington Artist 2018, the Seattle Civic Poet 2017 to 2019, and Poet in Residence at Hugo House 2015 to 2017. Renee has received fellowships and residencies from Cave Canem, Hedgebrook, Bona, Ragdale, Mineral School, and the New Orleans Writers Residency. Her poems and essays have been anthologized in Furious Flower, Seeding the Future of African American Poetry, Spirited Stone, Lessons from Kubata's Garden, Seismic, Seattle City of Literature, and her poetry and fiction have appeared in Spark, Foglifter, Auburn Avenue, Catapult, Alta, Torch, and many more. And you can find them at Anastacia-Renee.com. So thank you very much, and really welcome to Randy and Azure and Imani as well, and just really appreciate you being here. So I'm off, and they're gonna we're gonna have a great show before the wonderful film Alice Júnior. And so please, definitely after the show, check it out. And you can find the way to us through $3billcinema.org. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathleen. Hi out there. I am so excited to be here with these three wonderful, amazing human beings. I have to say right off, the reason why they're here is because of the film Alice Júnior. You have to go and watch the film after this panel. I'm usually not someone that goes around telling people what they should watch and what they should read. You know, I'll co-sign on a thing and say, I liked it. It was good. I love it. But I really want you to see this film. And I'm trying not to give too much of it away because this is the pre-panel discussion. But I will say, as a queer person, and there's still not enough out there for us, I don't feel. And there's not enough that shows different parts of us and our community. And I feel like this film touches on a part that is still not readily available. I wish I could have seen this film when I was a youth. And I wish that more people knew about this film. You see me, I'm clutching my heart. It did this to me. And also, it wasn't all sad. I mean, I don't know how you all feel, but I feel like half the films for us are sad. You know, it's like we're crying and it's just like, see us, feel us, hear us. And we need that. I thought this film did a balance of that. I felt like there was some beauty and there was some laughter and there was some gut wrench. I think that it had equal parts of all of those things. And yeah, you should see it. And if for some reason you can't see it today and you're like, Anastacia, I want to talk to me. I stand by this film and I stand by these folks that are here. If you want to know what I'm talking about when I say that I feel like the film had all parts, you can take a look at who I have with me. And that is Randy, Azure, and Imani. Please welcome them each. I am going to read all three of their bios. I would say they're shortened bios because I have the pleasure of knowing all three of them. And I don't think that a bio can fully represent a person's full amazing capacity. but I'm going to do that. I'm going to read the short business bios in my business bio voice. And then you are going to hear from Azure. And after that, you will hear from Imani. And after that, you will hear from Randy. And they are going to talk about the film a little bit as it relates to them. And they're going to share their work with you. And they also, hopefully, they might impart some wisdom for our queer youth out there, just how to move in the world when maybe some advice for that, though we all know none of us can give you advice for everything, but I do believe in them. I think they have some good words of wisdom for you. So let's get it started. Azure Savage is an author, activist, and used to be a senior at Garfield High School. Savage recently published You Failed Us, Students of Color Talk Seattle Schools. It's a memoir and oral history of his and 40 other students of color's experiences with racism in the Seattle Public School District. This book is amazing. You can pick it up at any bookstore and online. Welcome, Azure.
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for the kind words, Anastasia.
Excited to have you.
I'm always worried about accidentally spoiling something. So as much as I'm just going to say about the film, I really enjoyed it. Like what you were saying, I was nervous to watch it because I knew kind of what it was about from going into it. And I thought it was going to be really, really, really sad. And I don't like watching sad films. But I was very pleasantly surprised that there was a lot of joy in that film. And I feel like I don't get to see that represented very often for like queer and trans characters in film. They don't get to experience very much joy. And I feel like that was something that did happen a lot in this film. And that kind of goes into the piece that I'm going to share with you. So I've been working on this essay in one of my college classes, and I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's way too long for that, but I'm just going to read you the intro and two of the scenarios that I included. So the intro will hopefully give you some context about like the subject I'm going into, and then the scenarios are like examples for it. Okay, I'm just going to start. This too shall pass. I heard this spoken when I was around 13, and it stuck with me ever since, to the point where I spent hours stabbing myself with a needle until it's tattooed on my leg. On one side, it allows me to remember that even the darkest moments will end. On the other, it forces me to accept that moments of light will end too. I tend to have a harder time with the latter. I struggle experiencing joy in isolation from misery, whereas I do not struggle experiencing misery in isolation from joy. As incredible as moments of joy are, I'm always waiting fearfully for when they would pass. I disrupt my experiences of joy, constantly reminding myself, hey you, this is gonna end bad, better not get too comfortable. Policing my own joy is harmful itself, and unfortunately I project my policing of joy onto others around me, wanting them to prepare for the worst. And I've noticed I'm not the only one with a tendency for this. In his essay Loitering, Ross Gay inserts a picture of a joyous Black woman photographed while working at a factory. He describes his reaction to this image as, after I smile and have a genuine bodily opening on account of witnessing this delight, which is a moment of Black delight, I look behind her for the boss. Damn, I can relate to that. I keep the Joy Police scanners playing at full blast to prepare myself for their next steps as they patrol my life and my friends' lives. It's a practice that I built up after experiencing and witnessing the devastation that occurs when our joy is unexpectedly ripped away. For queer, Black, Indigenous people of color, being joyful through expressing our identities can be a safety concern. It's a shitty reality, but there are people willing to express their transphobia and homophobia in violent ways, both physically and psychologically. We are forced to take the risk of being ourselves into account anytime we show them publicly, or even in our own homes with our families. So scenario 1, answering a call from my friend. Me, hey, what's up? Friend, I ordered this new wig and it came today. Me, oh shit, let me see. Friend, I feel kind of pretty, oh my god. Let me pause the conversation for a moment. Not everyone can understand the profound importance of being a trans woman and feeling pretty. Being able to share that moment with her was a blessing itself. Nothing fuels me on a soul level more than seeing my trans friends experience moments of gender euphoria. But still, I immediately began feeling concerned. 1. Did her family know about this wig? 2. Was she planning on leaving her house wearing it? Very quickly, I had to remind myself that she was aware of these safety concerns too. Just the week before, she had told me yet another story of a Black trans woman being killed in Puerto Rico where she lives. She had already explained to me that she would never leave the house presenting femme, and it wasn't my place to remind her of the danger she lives with every day. It was my job to be a supportive and excited friend. Me, you look like a fucking goddess. I love you. And then scenario 4. Post TE/double mastectomy with free nipple graft/top surgery. Yeah, so I got my top surgery on June 3rd, 2020. A big moment for a trans guy like myself. A moment where I should truly only be focused on the progress that I've made, the joyous shirtless pics I will be constantly taking, and recovering smoothly. But my focus was on a glaring issue that came with top surgery and medical transition as a whole. My father. I made the executive decision to not tell my dad absolutely anything until it had already been done, mainly because I didn't want his reaction to stress me out during surgery recovery. However, the fact that I didn't yet know his reaction simply stressed me further. For a long time, I had convinced myself that I would be perfectly fine cutting off my dad if he didn't accept me. I was very wrong about that. My dad, unfortunately, means a lot to me. He's my Black parent, the connection I have to that side of the family. During the uprising in June, we connected over politics and shared our thoughts on everything, which is incredibly important for me. So throughout that month, I was both recovering from surgery while having regular phone calls with my dad without ever telling him. My mind would be running with feelings of shame that I was lying to him while actively trying to strengthen our relationship. The joy I should have been experiencing was overwhelmed by stress. What was he going to say? Would we ever have a relationship like this again? Unfortunately, my worries about his reaction turned out to be based. When I finally told him by sending him the video diary I had worked really hard on, he refused to even watch it. I quickly learned that I would never be his son. I have no regrets on waiting so long to tell him, but I wish I had actually waited to hear his response before I concluded it, so I could have sat with my joy for a bit longer. Though I was policing the extent of my joy with reminders that my dad might react poorly, preparing for the worst did make it easier for me to accept it when it descended. However, there's no way for me to know how I would have reacted to his response if I wasn't previously policing my joy. Maybe my unpoliced joy would have overridden any negativity from him. And that's all I'm going to share from that essay. I'm still working on it, but yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Azure, what advice, if any, do you have for youth? And when I use the term youth, I mean, I use it loosely. I guess for me, that means anybody between 13 and 26, moving in the world, moving in and through the world.
That's a great question. I think my advice is kind of what I said in this. Like, I really stand by the idea of like, this too shall pass. And, it can be hard to remember that sometimes, and that sometimes you're in a really horrible situation that you feel like is going to be your life forever, and that you'll never be able to get to a place where you can exist in a completely different world where you can be yourself and have people who love you and care about you. But I promise you that it will happen, and you'll get there, and you just need to, sometimes it's just moment by moment, you got to get through it. And I think for me, the main part of getting through life is having a community that is 100% for me and doesn't want to change me. And I think everyone deserves to find that community. And I know it can be hard to find that community, but we're out here. I promise you, we're out here. Sometimes it's hard to remember that, but we are out here. And I know that I'm someone, if you ever find me on Instagram, you can always hit me up and we can be friends, and I got you. Yeah.
What's your Insta handle?
My Insta is at Azure, so my first name, and then Sav, so it's the first 3 letters of my last name. That's my Instagram. Hit me up, DM me, I'll respond.
Thank you so much. I am moving our goodness to Imani. I'm still fanning myself over all the things you said, Azure. Thank you. Wow, this is really a short bio for Imani Sims. If you're out there watching, you're probably already hooting, right? You're hooting and you're like, Imani Sims. But I'm going to read the shorter bio in my business bio voice. Imani Sims is an alchemist and author. She believes in the power of community, ritual, and performance art in public space to shift social narratives around the magic of Blackness, queerness, and femme identity. Over the past 2 decades, Imani has collaborated with community organizations and independent artists to deliver arts programming all over the nation. Her heart, soul, love work is elevating the voices of cutie pop folk in public and virtual space. Sims' book, A Live Heart, is available on Sibling Rivalry Press. And I know there is yet another book. And again, these are not all the magical gifts, but welcome, Imani Sims. Hey.
Thanks. Hi, I'm so happy to be here. It has been such a delight to see this film. It really brought me so much joy, and I was like in tears a few times. It was just a really like it gave me the warm fuzzies. I don't know how else to describe the warm fuzzies, so I'm just gonna call them the warm fuzzies. But it was just such a like fulfilling experience to watch this film. Some of the ways that I connected to the film in particular, I love that the main character's name is Alice, because Alice in Wonderland has been one of my longtime favorite stories my entire life since I was a kid. And for me, watching the arc of this film really highlighted the journey that the protagonist was on. And I really got to fall into her wonderland. There was so much color and neon and expression that I couldn't help but find myself in this character's world. Also, another thing that I really, really loved about the film was the parent character. Alice's parent is like one of the most supportive examples of a parent. Just being able to navigate and advocate inside of the system for, Alice was like one of my favorite parts of the film. Also, their like really loving, sweet relationship was incredible for me. Also, the displays of like friendship and support and the importance of having tribe around you was really apparent in this film. And I got so much joy from watching the ways in which the community supported Alice and rocked with her really hard in the world. And then I think the last thing that I really loved about this film was that Alice was never afraid to be fully inside of her world, inside of her own self, like a very fully embodied character. And I think a lot of times as, being a queer person, oftentimes I have experienced hiding aspects of myself or parts of myself in order to fit into wherever I am, whatever the environment is that I'm in. And I loved watching Alice not do that, to show up exactly how she is, when she is, wherever she is, and being fucking fierce as fuck when she does it. It just was another reminder of how important it is for us to be fully embodied as queer folks in the world, especially queer folks of color in the world. So often, we're taught to hide ourselves, taught to disappear into, the fabric of whatever society tells you should be. And so I really appreciated that Alice was not here for that at all. And so for that, I created this very short section of writing Some of it's new stuff, some of it's old stuff, but it really reminded me of sort of the journey that Alice was on. And yeah, it just gave me the warm fuzzies as I read through it. So this is for Alice. What are you made of? Skin, taut brown, smooth wonder, wrapped bone, ghost spun fate. Blood, ancestry manifest against skies long swept past and memory. Sound, notes opened throat, a shift into transformed energy. Buoyancy, levitated limbs in simple syrup, soft reminder of change. And as we gather the light in the midst of inevitable end, we acknowledge our shattered places in an effort to integrate the despised parts of ourselves and forgive the heart its judgment. She is the encased powder finish of cobalt on islands, and let the witnesses come. She is the last sequin stitched under armpit for ultimate shimmer, and let the witnesses come. She is the high note Beyonce sung through, yes, queen, lips, and we let the witnesses come. She is the sliver of light kicked to corners with every stiletto click. Let the witnesses come. And when she didn't get bit by the dancing queen bug, what is left of her queerness? Just glitter. Too many derogatory slurs to learn the sacred act of shedding skin on a dance floor. She becomes the silence in bathroom lines and corners. Disco lights and spinning silver. She is the moments we take for granted because all anyone wants to remember is the twirl and cocked wrists of red-stained lips, because she be hugged so deliciously close to thump worship. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. I have to ask you the same question. Do you have any parting advice for our queer youth moving through and in the world?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say show the F up for your own effing self, because I don't think I can curse on here, but showing up for your own self in your own body is one of the greatest ways that you move through this world. There's only one you. And so as you move through every day, breathing, living, walking, talking, showing up for your magic, that's the real story. That's what it's about.
Thank you. Thank you, Azure and Imani. We are moving to Randy. I don't know why the Randy song came, but okay. Randy! I'm going to, again, read an abbreviated bio. Again, I think these folks leap off paper. So these bios are just small formal boxes to tell you who they are. Randy Ford is a Seattle-born dancer, choreographer, actor, and activist. She grew up learning choreography in her living room from watching music videos as a child. She's a guest teacher at Seattle Academy of the Arts and Sciences and a mixed fit instructor at the Northwest African American Museum and a host of other things. Welcome, Randy. Hi.
Hello. Yes, thank you for reading again the short bio, Anastasia. Oh my goodness. Hello, everybody. I'm not used to StreamYard with the opposite. So if I'm like trying to figure out what's my right and what's my left, it's because this is really flipped. But hello. Oh my gosh. I want to just echo everything that everyone on this panel has already said about the film. Please go see it. I can't wait till it's accessible for many more to see it. I didn't expect such a wholesome film to be in my inbox when Anastasia hit me up for this. I was like, oh yeah, sure, sign up, I'll watch a film, we'll talk about it and critique and everything like that. But, during this time, it was just one of the most, again, just bright things that really just blessed me with so much joy, blessed me with, so much to be grateful for and reflection on my own, journey as a non-binary trans feminine person, and just, you know, like, I think Gen Z, y'all showed up in this film like top to bottom when it comes to just like editing, the story, the conversations that are happening that I'm so happy are happening, that I still think we can even knock down even lower in age group, you know what I mean? But it was just so nice to see Gen Z and, you know, and this intergenerational conversation around identity, around religion, around systems, you know, and around, community coming together, and how community can come together in the biggest of ways and largest of ways. And just, it doesn't let you off the hook. Yeah, this film does not let you off the hook. It's very much real. You know, it starts off, you know, you're like, and then you think, and you're like, oh, it's just a movie, but it's still very real. And I think, there's so much just real conversation that can really happen, you know, after. Like, I'm all about watch the film and then talk about it after, dive into it, dissect it, watch it again. And I really really enjoyed all of that. And, you know, I also loved, I wrote down, I'm looking at my notes. Sorry if I'm looking down. I wanted to make sure I touched everything. But I really loved how I could compare, you know, systems here in the United States to where this, you know, film took place in South Brazil. And just, like, just so many things. And I have a short, very short excerpt from an upcoming project. I'm also very much a fan of Alice in Wonderland and fairy tales in general. And this project is inspired off of The Wiz, one of my favorite fairy tales, which kind of also has a Alice in Wonderlandy twist, you know, Dorothy, Alice, and all the things. But here it is. It's really short. I don't know why I'm looking down. I didn't write it. It's up here. Sorry. There's a goddess in my ear, telling me to trust myself and let this pen flow, have no fear, it'll all come clear. She asked if I was ready for that special smoke. Count to 10, take a puff, then that's all she wrote. I'm on my Lord Morrison, Angelo. I wonder if the goats are gonna respect Randy's flow. Maybe. One day I'll be in the writer's room with Issa, reminiscing with Misha, eating some vegan pizza, writing about the school days when I used to be a teacher. Man, them kids drove me crazy, but they're my special babies. I still think about you, Alric, to this day, wondering if you're okay. Is it worth it to pray anymore when nobody really cares about these South End kids? Nonprofits still profiting off of pictures of their tears. I know one thing for sure, when you get out, my dear, we gonna make sure you won't go back in, you hear? Whew. Man, fuck this Rona shit. We taking over shit. Yeah, that's ownership. Now come join my ship so we can sail away into sativa ways and count all our riches. Say fuck you to these bitches, cause I'm gonna manifest, ain't gonna rest to the journey's end. And it's my destiny's child. Man, this shit's wild. Didn't think I'd be here with this goddess in my ear. See what happens when you take a leap of faith with no fear? That's it.
Okay, that's it. Thank you. Wow.
Thank you.
This pre-film panel is hot.
Liddy, I had to come with it because the first two, I was like, let me make sure. No, thank you. Yes. Oh my God. Thank you.
I'm still, you know, you have your flow. I'm still like back in the goddess in your ear. I'm like tracking. Well, I have to ask you the same last question. Any last or ongoing advice for youth as they are moving through, queer youth as they are moving through into?
Yeah. One of my favorite things that, again, one of my favorite people of all time, Issa Rae, said in an interview, she said to network out, you know, instead of trying to network up. You know, there are people among you who are just as hungry and passionate about what you want to do and have similar mindsets. And if you band together, and people will start looking your way once you start making enough noise. So really, like, just network out and just find your community, your chosen family, your network, your support, your safety net, you know, especially as these elections are coming up. really just find out who rocks for you and be with them and honor them and make sure they're honoring you in the process. That's the best advice I can give you during this time.
Thank you all so much. I feel like I just had, I don't know, the best sunshine ever. I'm very happy that I chose you three to be on the panel and be with us. We got done a little earlier than I thought, and I'm not mad because you know what? If you're out there, you have a good 15 minutes to get yourself something to eat, stretch, get somebody on the FaceTime or the Zoom, maybe do whatever you need to do so you can then settle down and watch the film. You have to go watch the film at 3:45. So you have a good 15 minutes to get it together. And I'm usually not this bossy, but I'm bossing you. Go watch the film. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Imani. Thank you, Azure, for your insight, for your energy, for your gifts, for the totality of your beings. I appreciate you, and I am so happy that you are moving through and in the world. I feel honored that you sat with me to have a chat about Alice Jr. So we're out.